In this video, I'm sharing 5 stories of synchronicity and manifestation, and my hope is that by sharing some of my stories, that it will help you to better recognize and honor your own synchronicities. But first, if you are new to my channel, then welcome. My name is Adrianne DeCotes. I'm a manifesting coach and intuitive guide, and on this channel, we talk about getting into the flow and manifesting with ease. So if that's something you're interested in, I invite you to click the subscribe button and turn on notifications so that you'll be the first to know when I publish new videos. So learning to pay attention to synchronicities like the ones that I'm going to share in these stories today has been really great for my manifesting practice, because the more that you collect and kind of notice these synchronicities, these times when these really uncanny things happen, just the more confidence you're building in your connection to the universe, in your sense of being in sync with something larger, with the larger forces that be that are helping what you want to come about. And that all really enhances your sense of trust, your ability to navigate your way along the manifesting journey, and really enhances your experience with all of that. And so I'm excited to share these with you today. Let's dive in. So Nick was one of my first friends that I met upon moving to Portland way back in 2008. And we were friends for about 6 years before we became a couple. But before we became a couple, about 2 months before actually, and while I still just considered Nick to be just a friend before I even had noticed any romantic feelings at all in his direction, I received a Facebook message from a mutual friend of ours, and she wrote me to say that the night before she had had a dream that Nick and I were married. And when she told me this, I thought it was really weird. I wrote back and said something like, "Oh, yeah, Nick's a really great guy, but I'm not interested in getting married to anyone right now." Something like that. I basically just blew it off. But a little more than 2 months after receiving that message was when a series of interesting synchronicities and the manifesting work that I was doing to call in a new partner led to Nick and I coming together. And so really this message was prophetic, first of all, and a great synchronicity. And also it was something that when Nick and I first started dating, I had a little bit of hesitancy because I didn't want to ruin our friendship. I was a little concerned about this kind of change in the dynamic of our relationship, but I thought back to that Facebook message and I saw it as a synchronicity, as a sign that this was a good idea, that I was headed in the right direction to pursue this relationship, and that was really powerful and helpful for me. Okay, moving on to synchronicity story number 2. This one is kind of related to the first one, as you will see. This one started when I was riding on the Max, which is kind of a light rail train that we have in Portland that goes throughout the city. I was riding over the Willamette River, the river that cuts through the kind of the middle of Portland. And as I was riding over the river, I noticed these condos, I thought they were apartments, but they were actually condos that lined the riverbank on one side. And I thought they looked really cute. I thought they looked really interesting. And I'm someone who's always wanted to live by the water. I always really gravitate to the water in any place that I am in, really. And so I remember thinking to myself, if I could live anywhere in Portland, I would want to live there. And kind of at the same time, I also had the thought that probably living right on the river downtown in the city was going to be way too expensive for me. And so I just kind of set it as a light intention, and I didn't really try to follow up on it immediately with any action or like investigating it at all. I just assumed it was probably out of my price range at this time. So fast forward maybe a few years later or something, and I found out that my friend Nick, yes, the Nick from story number 1, actually had moved in to those condos. He was renting one with a housemate. And so I thought that was pretty interesting. This was, of course, back when Nick was just my friend, when I was really used to seeing him as just a friend, and so I thought that was cool that he lived there. But as I mentioned in story number 1, Nick actually turned out to be the partner that I had wanted to manifest, and we ended up getting into a romantic relationship together. And so of course, like, that was at the same time also that he was living in this place that I really wanted to live. And the way that it worked out was, it's kind of a boring story, so I won't give all the details, but basically where I was living at the time, about 6 months after Nick and I started dating, my living situation suddenly changed. I needed to find a new place, and so I ended up deciding to move in with Nick. And so then I was living in my dream place by the river with him as well, and we ended up moving out of that place like maybe a year and a half later, and then buying one of those units of our own. And so it was kind of like a 2-for-1 manifesting deal, and it was just a crazy synchronicity that he was also living in, that he was not only the partner that I had wanted to manifest, but he was also living in the place that I wanted to manifest too. So this is one of the experiences that I always think back on to remember how creative the universe can be in sort of combining the desires that we want together, and like how the things that we want, that we may think like, how could this happen and this happen at the same time or together, like they really can be kind of a package deal at times, and the universe can work it out to arrange for the partner that you want and the place that you want to live, for example. So that is my second story of synchronicity and manifestation. Okay, moving on to story of synchronicity and manifestation number 3. This one is about business. So for several years, I was really wanting to manifest a full-time income in my business. That was like my biggest dream at the time. And at the place where I was working, I had this magnet up, posted. I think it was a magnet. I know for sure it had an angel on it, and it had the phrase, breathe, believe, receive. And it was kind of like this little reminder that I kept with me at work of kind of universal support and guidance, and also that mantra of believing in what I wanted to manifest. So that was with me. And then the synchronicity part is that the experience that finally gave me the confidence to quit my job and go full-time in my business was kind of like this income breakthrough. I created for the first time a package of my coaching and psychic reading services. Before, I had just sold single sessions kind of individually, but I decided to do something that felt really big and felt kind of scary, of combining some sessions into like a 3-month coaching program. And it was a really new thing for me, but I thought that it might allow me, that if I could sell these longer programs instead of like a lot of individual sessions, that would be an easier way and a more effective way to create enough income to go full-time in my business. So that was kind of my goal or my dream. But I tried to sell this longer program for probably about a month and a half, and all I got were no's. No one that I had offered it to was interested in buying this for me. So I was getting discouraged, but trying to stay believing that I could manifest this, that I could create what I wanted, and probably also really looking at that angel magnet, connecting to that sense of belief, that sense of universal support. And finally, I had my breakthrough. In one day, after hearing so many no's, I heard 2 yeses in a single day. So I had not just 1, but 2 clients who bought my bigger package. And what this did was it caused me to receive more income in a single day in my business than that. It was probably like 2 or 3 times what I had ever made an entire month. And so that experience, then I was able to like shift into selling more of those packages after that too. It boosted my confidence and my belief. But that's not really the coolest part of the story. The synchronicity part is that the two clients that said yes to my larger coaching package were named Grace and Glory Be. So I just feel like the names of those two clients were so kind of angelic, almost like Grace and Glory Be, and to both be on the same day as well. The clients that said yes, and they both paid in full also, and so created like this income breakthrough, this like money miracle in my life that just felt so connected to angelic energy and to that angel magnet that I had been looking at every day. So that was a really cool synchronicity for me, and yeah, really helped me to have the confidence and the manifesting results to then, about maybe a month and a half later, I think is when I then quit my job and took my business full time. My next story of synchronicity and manifestation is a housing story. This one is where, so my good friend and I were wanting to manifest a place to live together, and we had some different criteria of what we were looking for. Now, in the part of Portland that we were wanting to move to, and kind of Portland in general, can be very competitive with housing, where, you know, something gets listed and then you have a lot of competition, like a lot of people also are going to be wanting that place. And so what happened was my friend, her mother actually was getting a psychic reading, and my friend must have told her mother about our desire to find a new place to live, and her mom decided to ask the psychic about our housing manifestation. And the psychic said that she saw us living in a duplex. That was the main thing that stood out. And my friend, upon hearing this, decided to go into, I think, Craigslist probably, and search for duplex in the area that we wanted to move to. And maybe the first result that came up, it looked like a good fit, and also it had just been posted that day or just very recently. So we went ahead and got in touch with the place and were able to go and see it and actually be the first people to see it. And so we were able to, and it ended up being a really great place that really matched what we were looking for. And so we went ahead and said yes to wanting to lease it and sign the lease, and were able to just get right in. But the reason why we found it so quickly was that we knew to search for duplex, which came from the psychic reading. So it's a little bit of an interesting synchronicity, kind of combination of synchronicity and divine guidance that really helped this housing manifestation to click into place for us. Okay, and moving on to story of synchronicity and manifestation number 5. This is also a housing related story. This one happened probably 15 years ago almost, or maybe not that long, but regardless, it was a while ago. And I was living in Portland near Mount Tabor, which is this really cool dormant volcano, like giant park that's really awesome. It has all these hiking trails and stuff in Portland. So I was living near there, but I needed to find a new place to live. And I was living with my boyfriend at the time, and we needed to move out of our current place, but we really wanted to stay in the neighborhood. We really liked Mount Tabor and wanted to stay nearby. So we had that intention, but we had been looking around for a place and hadn't really found anything online or wherever we were looking at the time that was in the neighborhood that looked like a good fit. So one day we were just taking a walk, and we decided to go up a few streets, kind of up the hill, up the mountain, and make a turn that we didn't usually make, and kind of go explore some different parts of the neighborhood, just kind of for exercise. We didn't really have any other intention than that. But as we were walking down this unfamiliar street, we noticed a man working in the front yard of a house that looked kind of under construction. And as we walked by him, I can't remember who first started the conversation, but we started talking with him and kind of complimenting the house. And it turned out he was the builder of the house, and he also owned it as well. And he was making improvements, and he kind of told us about the improvements he was making, and the house was beautiful and just very cool, very modern, very interesting looking house. And he also mentioned that one of the things he had added onto the house was a separate dwelling unit kind of above the garage. And we told him, oh, that's really cool. We're actually looking for a place in this neighborhood. And he was like, oh, really? Maybe this could be a good fit for you. We haven't listed it yet on Craigslist or anything. So would you like to come take a look at it sometime? And we were like, yeah, for sure. So we ended up being able to check out the place and then decide that we wanted to move into it and be able to get this awesome new place without even having to really look or deal with any competition of other people wanting to get the place. Like, we were able to get it before it even got listed or posted publicly at all, just from taking this little walk around the neighborhood and synchronistically running in to this man that was working on it. And this place was really awesome. Like, it had heated floors, so in the winter your feet would stay toasty. It had like all new materials, like cork flooring that was really cool, and it had this giant view window in the bedroom that overlooked the scenery off the mountain. And the family of the man that we met that day that lived there as well, like, they were super cool, super nice landlords. And yeah, it was just a really good experience living there. And definitely it was a time that a synchronicity was really key in causing something to manifest. If you have any stories of synchronicity and manifestation that you would like to share, I would love to hear about them. Definitely leave those down in the comments below and share some of the cool things that have happened in your life with synchronicity along the way to manifesting what you want. These kind of stories can be really inspiring. They're really fun to hear about, and definitely, not just my stories, but your stories as well can help inspire others and help us all to remember how connected we are, how supported we are, and just start to open our eyes to the different cool ways that things can come about that we want to manifest. And if you would like more tips and tricks and insights from me about getting into the flow and manifesting with ease, then I definitely suggest downloading my free guide to the 7 Habits of Highly Magical People. I will place a link to download this in the description box below this video so you can check that out if you're interested. Thank you so much for joining me today for these stories of synchronicity and manifestation. If you would like to go deeper into this topic, I definitely recommend this next video all about the 10 signs manifestation is on its way. Synchronicity is one of the signs, but there are 9 others that you'll want to be aware of along the path to creating what you want. And thanks again for joining me today. Until next time, happy manifesting.